Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom.
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Look, all I'm saying is that Boston women are, on the whole, a paler, uglier sort than women from the elsewheres of life.
What about Lori? She's hot.
No, Lori's from Pennsylvania. It's not a Boston girl.
They're not that bad.
See, the fact that you have to say they're not that bad means that they are that bad.
Hello and welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show, to the DVD and Blu-ray section. Coming up in this part of the show, we'll have reviews of
a lot of films, actually, not big ones, but a lot of them. Headhunters, Creature, Gone, Livid, This Must Be the Place, Cyrus, Mind of a Serial Killer, and Black Gold. And the DVD alternative is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. My choice.
Plenty of films to get through in this part of the show. Before that, though, we're going to go straight into the DVD and Blu-ray top 10. Starting at number 10 with Puss in Boots.
Yeah, I think Andy liked it more than I did. It's a spin-off from the Shrek series. People might say, finally getting his own animated movie. I'm just, no. I didn't want him to get his own animated movie because you can tell by this film that they stretched it out. It's just about Puss in Boots trying to get to the top of Jack's beanstalk to get the gold which is there, and with his help from Humpty Dumpty, friend Humpty Dumpty. But there's a plot going on in the background about Humpty Dumpty, and is he really friends again with Puss? And it's a very average film. There's a few jokes in there for kids that they really like, but I just thought it was quite average. It's more on a par of sort of like the last Shrek movie, which a lot of people didn't like, and it's just in that kind of vein.
Number 9 is 21 Jump Street,
which was my funniest film of the year until Ted came out. I keep seeing this week in, week out. It has a lot of jokes in it. It is a funny film, and Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill feed off each other really well. They both have really good comic timing together, and if they make a sequel, brilliant. I think they will make another sequel. Anyway, not another sequel, but yeah, I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah, I just want to say again, I still feel that half the jokes in it just didn't hit right for me. I don't know why, but I don't know. It's one of those things about the film that kind of bugged me. At number 8, We Bought a Zoo.
Yeah, it's a really distinctly average, very safe kind of film. It's got Scarlett Johansson and Matt Damon in it, and obviously, as the title suggests, Matt Damon ends up buying a zoo that's dilapidated and run down, and he needs to invest every single penny that he's got to bring the zoo back up to standards and stop it from being closed down. It's a really safe, long film. Children, they don't have a very high attention span as it is, and if you're sitting them down for more than 2 hours, they are going to struggle, especially with this film, because there is nothing that will attract them to it. Yeah, they like the animals, but it's just nothing will attract them to this movie.
At number 7, surprise, surprise, there's an re-entry into here for a box set, The Ultimate Bourne Collection.
Yeah, which I'm surprised that nobody owns the Bourne films as it is. I know you're probably going to get on to me about another film that's in the top 10 also, where I'm surprised that he hasn't got it yet. I love the Bourne films. Like I said in my review of the Bourne Legacy, I found the Bourne Legacy is a part of its own trilogy, its own series. It's a start of a... Well, I can't say a trilogy because I don't know how many movies they've got planned in that series, but there's definitely going to be a sequel to it. These 3 films, they're brilliant. They're better than the Bond movies. They're very well acted by Matt Damon, which is a surprise to say that Matt Damon is a good actor, because he is when he does films like the Bourne movies.
An unusual re-entry into the top 10 at number 6, Warhorse.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I'm surprised that people are still buying it. Considering I would have thought that it would have started to flutter out of the top 10, out of the chart itself, out of the top 40, because we just do the top 10, but a top 40 is published every Sunday, and so I'm surprised it's not languishing near the bottom end of that. We've said everything we can about Warhorse. The fact that, again, it's a really long film, but it's a good movie.
I don't think you've seen this one, number 5, Best Exotic Marigold Hotel.
No, it's not my cup of tea. I don't intend to watch it anyway.
It's a perfectly fine drama that I'm having seen it. I can now see why it hung around for so long in the top 10 in cinema and why it's hanging around so long in the top 10 on DVD. It's a film about a group of old age pensioners who end up going over to India and a sort of a journey of self-discovery. It's a really good drama, and as I keep saying, one of those weird films that you can actually watch with your parents or your grandparents, and there's enough here that everyone will enjoy it. At number 4, The Flowers of War, which we reviewed last week, which is the movie with Christian Bale playing a mortician who finds himself stuck in the middle of the invading Japan army in China. It's a Chinese film that's a really sort of on par with Hollywood blockbusters. It's been Chinese most successful film that there's been for some years, I believe. And it is a very good film. It just suffers a bit from being a bit long, and people who don't like subtitles won't like it because more than half the film is spoken in different languages. But that's your fault. That's your problem if you don't like that. If you don't like that, I'm telling you, see this film. You should. It's a really good film. At number 3, now this is the one who hasn't got one of these. The Dark Knight and Batman Begins.
That would be me, and you can probably guess which one I still don't own.
Yeah, Batman Begins is the one you still haven't got, have you?
Yeah, I still don't have it. I don't know why I don't have it in my collection. I've looked at it, looked at my DVD collection. I'm thinking I must have it somewhere. It can't be the fact that I don't have this movie. I don't. And to make matters worse, I've only ever seen Batman Begins once, all the way through from start to end. I've only seen it once. It's the same with The Dark Knight. I've only sat through it the entirety of it once. It's the same with the Lord of the Rings. I've only seen Lord of the Rings once all the way through. I've got the extended editions of them, but I've never sat down and watched the extended editions. And I call myself a movie fan.
Yeah, you should have told me that. I'm gonna ride you for that now for a while. The highest re-entry into the chart this week for I wonder what the reason could be for this. The Expendables at number 2.
That it's down to the fact that the sequel's out in the cinemas on Thursday, not Friday, like I said in the cinema part of the show.
The sequel, the one that we will be reviewing next week.
Yep, I didn't like the Expendables. I'm not a fan of these. A lot of people do like these dumb action movies, but this one was just way too dumb. I did not like this film at all. It felt like it was a Steven Soderbergh movie. That the fact that there was a ton of actors and they didn't know what to do with these actors. None of the set pieces were interesting. It wasn't a thrilling movie at all, and I didn't like it. And I'm not very sure if I will go to see the Expendables 2, because I know that Andy's definitely going to see it because he's reviewing it next week. But I'm not sure myself if I want to go and see it. I'll have to think about that.
I'm actually kind of looking forward to it, but we'll get to that next week. The top film on DVD and Blu-ray this week is Mirror Mirror.
Yeah, which I didn't like at all. It's also in the UK box office top 10 at number 9, which is surprising because people can buy it on DVD now instead of going to the cinema to see it. It's cheaper to go see it at the cinema, so I'm glad that they did that, but it seems that a lot of people are still buying it on DVD for it to be number 1. Tassim Singh is a horrible director. This film is just horrible from start to finish. It has no vision. It has no decent storyline. It has no comic elements to it. The best thing about this film are the dwarves. The dwarves are fine, but everything else in this movie is horrible. And did you notice I didn't use the word garbage? I've just said it there, but I didn't use it during that lot.
That's one I'm crossing off. Okay, one.
Discount.
Okay, that's it for the first half of the show. We're going to take a break for an ad for the Holocaust, after which we return with the first to review, Headhunters.
Kids, there's nothing more cool than listening to a podcast you like. But if someone podcasts in a place or in a way that you find unfunny, that's no good. So what do? First, you say, lol no. Second, you tell them to GTFO. Third, you get some Holocaust in your luggoles. And most importantly, you have to tell someone. Like your parents, your teacher, or a police officer. We are the Lolocaust. 9 o'clock, Wednesday nights, lolocaust.co.uk. We don't clash with The Apprentice anymore.
So that's Bounty Ball and the gang at the Holocaust. Coming back on the 29th of August. They'll be back for 6 weeks and they'll be taking a further break before coming back for some Christmas episodes.
Halloween
okay, moving on
first.
to... Oh yes, the Halloween one as well.
Because they've asked me to be on it, do something for them, considering that I'm the one who loves horror movies, so...
Moving on to the first of our reviews on DVD this evening, Headhunters, which is a Norwegian thriller. The original title for it, I'm going to screw this up immensely, I'm sure. Hodejima.
It sounded more like a Japanese or a Chinese film there, with the mat at the end.
I'm not going to try it again, because I'll probably do it worse. Directed by Morten Tyldum, and stars Askell Hennie as Roger Brown, who is a headhunter for a company. He's basically an employment specialist who looks and actually searches for people to be employed for a company, who actually moonlights as an art thief. He's sort of interested in that kind of thing because it's what essentially funds his marriage, because he's married to this absolutely beautiful woman who's almost like a model. He himself is admittedly, in his voiceover at the start of the film, he is an average to below average looking man, so feels that in order to actually keep his wife and keep up his opinion of his successful life, he needs to actually be successfully financially, and ergo the reason for the art thief. Into his sort of life introduced one of his potential headhuntees, played by Nick. Now I'm going to screw up name again here. Nicolaj Coster-Waldau, who will be known to quite a lot.
You're forgiven this week because you've got really horrible names, Norwegian names.
He'll be known to a lot of people who watch Game of Thrones as Jaime Lannister. He plays Clash Grieve, who is a man who is looking to be perfect for a situation and a job, but also happens to have a really nice piece of artwork that Roger Brown wants to get his hands on, because it will essentially be his nest egg that will set him up for life. But when he goes to actually steal it, he finds then that there are certain things going on that the situation may not be as it's sort of expecting it to be. Now, obviously, because the film is actually in Norwegian, we don't have a clip for it. But the thing is with this film is that I wasn't sure what to expect. I've been hearing lots of great things about it. Everyone's been saying it's a film that you really should see. And now everyone is me, because I agree with that. You really have to see this film if you are into the good sort of thriller genre. You need to have a bit of a strong stomach, though, for it, because there are scenes in it which are... there's a couple of scenes in it where one in particular is... Some people will probably sort of almost heave at it, and another sequence which is quite grisly and graphic, but it's a really surprising thriller. There were twists and turns that I didn't see coming, and it's really well directed, it's really well acted. I'm sure that we're now going to see Askell Hennie starring in plenty of other films, and there'll be things that will be popping up everywhere, because he really gives a great performance in this film, and it's possibly... I think this may be in my top 10 of the year.
I need to watch it now because I was really interested in it. I really wanted to see this film, but because there was a lot of horrors out this week, Andy got Headhunters, and so I will watch it then if it's in your top 10 films of the year, because it's my cup of tea.
It's definitely, if it's not in my top 10, because I've still got to finalise my top 10, and obviously this film's coming out. Yeah, it will definitely be in my top 15. I think it might be in my top 10. I'm still deciding sort of where certain films lie.
Yeah, but I will give it a watch. I've got a lot of films to watch next week, but I would definitely give it a watch before the end of the year at least. Right, finished with it, Headhunters. You want some more weird names to say?
Well, I mean, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the actress who plays Diana Brown, Roger Brown's wife, because her name has weird characters in it, which I have no idea how they pronounced.
Yeah, we're not a visual show neither,
No.
so we can't show people.
For everyone who's interested in this film, wants to look up people's names, IMDb is definitely your friend in this film.
Oh yeah. Right, I'll get on with Creature. It's directed by Fred Andrews. Now, the thing with Creature, it's got a $3 million budget, and it opened up to 1,500 screens in America. And the fact that you need to know about this movie, it's the worst taken movie of all time in America that opened up on more than 1,500 screens. Because 1,500 screens.
And you chose to watch it.
No, I had to watch it because you wouldn't watch it anyway. So,
No.
1,500 screens plus in America is an open and is open wide, sort of a film that opens up across the country rather than being sort of like its saturation is in this country as it's known as. So, if a film opens up in more than 1,500 screens, it might be a big film. This is not. Now, go through a few actors, see if you know any of them. There's Maycad Brooks.
Who?
Sheridan Swan.
Sheridan Swan. Isn't that a character from Pirates of the Caribbean?
Haven't a clue. Dylan Casey. And Sid Haig. Nobody? Well, Sid Haig is the only one who I know out of that lot. He's in a lot of films like The Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses and stuff like that. The reason why I'm stagnating for time is because this has got a really simple storyline. It centres around a group of people who decide to go on a camping trip to this bayou place. They discover that there's a creature called Lockjaw, which is a half man, half alligator. Because the legend goes that this guy who lost his wife was killed by an albino alligator. So he decided to go and wrestle this alligator. He killed the alligator, ate his wife, ate the alligator, so he would become Lockjaw. And that's the legend around the area. And obviously people who live around that area think that Lockjaw's a god. And they feed people to supposedly Lockjaw and campers who go there. That's the storyline. It's a very typical storyline. And as you can probably guess, yes, this film is rubbish. I'm not going to use the G word. I'll use the R word a lot this week instead. It's rubbish. There is a lot of cheesy films like this, like Creature of the Black Lagoon and Swamp Thing and Class of Nukem High even. Lots of trauma movies. This is not a trauma movie. This is a movie that honestly did go fully out into this in cinemas in America, and it was wise enough to be released on DVD over here. There is nothing redeemable about this movie at all. The production costs are horrendous. There is a funny scene in the movie where the whole town is come around to do this chant. Now the camera is swinging around these people who are chanting. They aren't even moving their lips. They couldn't even get extras who could actually mime. It's that bad. It's just a movie that should be majorly avoided. Definitely. Andy's just said that Headhunters might be in his top 10 films of the year. This might be in my top 10 worst films of the year.
Okay, that doesn't mean I'm going to watch it just to make sure it goes on my top 10 worst.
Oh, thanks.
No
It'll be
chance.
easy for us to make a top 10 worst films of the year than if you watch it.
I might just give in to you on this one and agree. Moving on, Gone, which is directed by Heitor Dahlia, stars Amanda Seyfried as Jill, a woman who, at the start of the film, we are sort of introduced to her as being a woman who's sort of struggling to go through her everyday life. As it turns out, she was, before the film set, actually kidnapped and held in a sort of a pit by a kidnapper, or so she believes. It's not known whether or not this actually happened or if she's sort of losing it a bit. Things are sort of going okay for her and starting to get back on normal track until weirdness sort of happens one night. She's leaving for work. She sort of has a weird feeling, drives off, comes back the next morning after her shift at a diner, and finds that her sister has gone missing. No sign of her leaving or why she's gone, and she starts to get sort of panicked and starts to be looking for her. Finding no sign of her, her boyfriend's not seen her. She's not turned up for a test that she has to go for. She goes to the police and speaks to them to try and get them to look into her disappearance. Here's a clip.
Does Molly have a boyfriend?
Yeah, I called him. He's sleeping.
Well, Molly could be with him right now.
No, not on the night before test. She had a lot of studying to do.
So it is possible.
No. No. The answer is no.
Jill,
There are a million other girls that this guy could victimize. Why would he come back for you?
Because I'm the only one that got away, because I know his secret. I know what he's doing in Forest Park. He could have taken any one of these girls. They're all missing.
If you hear from Molly, give us a call immediately. Otherwise, I'll see you back here on Monday morning.
Monday! It's Friday! It's Friday!
Okay. I'm not going to really go
before
into...
you say anything there, right? She said, it's Friday at Friday. When I watched the film, I was expecting that to burst out in that Friday song.
Okay. Okay, that's just
honestly,
weird,
I was.
I'm not going to go and discuss the story anymore because there isn't one. The character of Jill is like in my list of, if there was a list of, you know, the dumbest movie characters ever and most stupid decision makers in the history of film, she'd be in the top 5 without a doubt. It's just like, it gets to a point where a character gets to a certain point and think, okay, what we're going to do? I'm going to do this, or the same thing, or I'm going to do this. I'm going to pull out a gun and point it at someone. And yeah, okay, maybe a bit random up to that point. Okay, go with that one. And then later on, there's other things like she does, like this woman goes through stealing about 3 or 4 cars during the film. She manages to evade the police. God knows how many times. I lost count because, to be honest, I started getting bored. It's just stupid decision after stupid decision. You know those slasher movies you got, like the kind of movies that Scream really did a number on? Well, this movie does a number on them as well, not because it's actually intending to, because it's just so dumb and stupid. And I mean, I was actually cheering for the bad guy to kill her. I really was. Just and as you heard in that clip, she's like, it's just like, stop, shut up, someone gag her, because just annoying. You've got in there as well in the cast, and the thing that really annoys me, Wes Bentley is a brilliant actor. But you put him in loads of roles like this and Underworld Awakening and things like this, where he is like the red herring actor. He's put in, and I don't care that that's giving away that he's not the killer, because it's just obvious he's not. But there's loads of things that it's just horrible. Learn to set up things in films and do it better than this, because this is just trash. It's awful. It should be a lot better. It's a big budget film. It has got Amanda Seyfried, who can act. She's not a brilliant actor, but she can act. You've got a small part for Jennifer Carpenter, who's in between episodes of Dexter. You've got Daniel Sunjata, who's in between episodes of Rescue Me. So it's all a sort of a summer TV cast. And it's not even a decent TV movie. I've seen TV movies that are better than this.
Yeah, I was hoping you would say that. So please say that it's going to be in your top 10 worst films of the year.
Without a doubt.
Well, that one's going to be really easy to put in our combined top 10 worst films of the year, because I nearly fell asleep during this movie. There, like you said, there are stupid decisions one after another.
I'm going to just say one thing. Sorry, I just want to say one thing because I just realised I wasn't going to do spoilers, but because I don't want people to see this film. I despise it, but there's one thing I like about it, which I'm going to say, and I'm going to spoil it. I don't care. The one thing I like about it is the killer is not someone who's set up early on in the film. The killer is just a random person. I like that for a change. I just don't like the 90 minutes that leads up to that, which is just boring drivel I just wanted to throw something at the screen most of the time when Amanda Seyfried was on it.
Yeah, I always want to do that when she's on the screen. Right, let's get on to a film called Livid. It's directed by Alexander Bustillo.
I am.
Now, this one's actually not spelled Livid. It's got an E on the end, so they were being a bit wise there. It's directed by Alexander Bustillo and Julien Mourier, who did... the only other film that they've done is one of my favourite French horror films called Inside. Now, if you've seen Inside, that movie is absolutely nuts. It's completely nuts. From... You get a break at the first 15 minutes, and then from then on in, if you don't like gore, then it's a nightmare of a movie for you. What it does, it follows Chloe Coulard's character. She plays Lucy, who's she helps people out who's bedridden, or she's a carer in a way, and she's taken to this house of this old lady who's this really run-down, dilapidated house. She's got this mask on. She's over the age of 100. She is loaded with money. She's told by the person who's there to help her, sort of like show her the ropes of being a carer, that she might have some treasure or jewels stashed away here and that. That night at a bar when Lucy is with her boyfriend and a friend, they decide to come up with the idea that they're going to break into this house to steal this treasure that's inside this house, because he wants to get out of where they live. That where they live is just this small town that nobody does any thinking. They just want to get out of there, and so obviously they break into this house, and you can probably guess where it goes from there. Or can you? Because that's one of the red herrings about this film. You think that when they get into this house, you can probably guess what happens. You can't guess what happens when it comes to Livid, because Livid, what it does, it takes a few genres inside the horror genre. So it takes the kind of, there's one part I don't want to give away. It takes a ghost element to it as well. It takes an insanity element to it as well. It takes a gore element of the horror genre, obviously because of Inside, what Bustillo and Murray have done in the past. The film itself is, it for the first 35-40 minutes, it follows Ty West's kind of slant when he does horror movies with his films. For the first 45-50 minutes, he sets up the movie, so it's very slow pace, and in the last part of the film, it sort of is the major payoff. This is exactly the same way. This does it for the first 35-40 minutes of the film. It sets up the pace of the movie, but it's very creepy. You need to watch this also in the dark with a surround sound system or a good headset on, because some of the noises, especially there is one scene in a room where there's sort of like heads of animals on the wall, and the noise just starts to ramp up louder and louder and louder, and it just starts to become deafening in your ears, and not only can you feel the goosebumps on your skin and your hair stand on end, it feels like your skin is starting to vibrate. It becomes that violent in a way. The movie itself is very dark. It's very gory. There is a few nasty scenes in the movie itself, and I really liked Livid, and I'm glad I did, because it's been a 5-year gap between Inside and Livid.
Sounds like we have a new potential kind of Joss Whedon horror writer in the midst.
Well, Bustillo and Murray, I wouldn't say that, because those two side on the extreme horror. Their horror, what they do is really, really, like, it even pushes the boundaries of an 18. Because Inside, it took so long for Inside to get released, because the movie itself, they didn't want to cut whatsoever. And there's stuff in that film, including a scene where a woman gets a baby cut out of her stomach, and you see everything, that you're surprised you can see everything. They pushed the boundaries really far.
Okay, this must be the place. Now, I know you've been waiting to hear my view on this, because I know that you quite, simply hated it. Yes. A film by Paolo Sorrento, which stars Sean Penn as is it Cheyenne or Cheyenne? I'm
Cheyenne.
not sure. It's Cheyenne.
It's Cheyenne in the film, yeah.
Who is who set present day, used to be a rocker in the 70s or 80s, is still dressing up as a sort of goth rocker to this day in his sort of eccentric wiles. He's living in Ireland with his wife, played by Frances McDormand, and things are sort of just going on about their normal sort of life, as bizarre as he is, until he gets contacted and told that his father is actually on his deathbed. He then goes to actually visit his father, see him on his deathbed, where he explains to him and finds out about the fact that his father was a survivor of the concentration camps in World War II, and the fact that he was shamed and embarrassed by a particular World War II officer of the Nazi officers that is currently living in the United States. Cheyenne then decides that he is going to investigate and look into finding this man in order to actually get revenge on him for his father's embarrassment and sort of bring closure to that aspect of his life. Now, the thing is with this film is Sean Penn, right? Sean Penn is a brilliant actor. And I'm going to say a thing that's going to annoy you, Stuart. I think he is a really good actor, and I think he's a great actor in this. The only problem is the character that he's playing is one of the most just mind-numbingly boring and annoying characters that have ever been committed to film.
Yeah, he mumbles his way through it, doesn't he? In my eyes, he looked a cross between Edward Scissorhands and Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, no, I think because I was actually looking into it. I think he was based on, I can't remember his name, but the lead singer of The Cure. I mean, when I first saw it, before I looked into that,
Robert Smith.
Yeah, people were saying that they think he's based on that. I think he's partly based on that, maybe partly based on someone like Ozzy Osbourne. The whole thing, I mean, this a line that he keeps reciting throughout the whole film is that there's something not quite right here, but I don't know what it is. It's kind of like a Forrest Gump, but wimpy Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump has more balls than this guy. I mean, that's saying a lot. It's bizarrely odd. The way it's shot and it's set up, there's nothing, as much as it's trying to frame things visually, it's just not an exciting visually film either for a drama. It runs for 2 hours, and it doesn't need to run anywhere near that long. It really drags and has a problem with the narrative of, I mean, it takes the scene of him being told about his father and going to see his father is well into 30, 40 minutes into the film. That should have been in the first 10, 15 minutes. There's just too much trying to show that what his character is like, and we get to see plenty of that throughout the rest of the film. We don't need half an hour of that before the film actually starts to go somewhere. The thing that I do like about it is I do like the ending, and I'm not going to give away that because it's an interesting ending. I like the what happens. There's some great performances in here as well from Judd Hirsch, who is for me the only thing that was saving really about the film. He's brilliant in it, and he's actually got me to laugh a few times. You've also got in there Harry Dean Stanton makes an appearance in the film. You've got the singer David Byrne, who is the lead singer of Talking Heads, makes an appearance as himself. And so there's things in here that maybe people who are more into goth rocking music than I am that will maybe get more out of it. But for me, it was just boring, too long, unnecessarily long, and just full of contrivances that just made me want to go into a coma.
Or shout at the screen, "Oi, speak
No,
up!"
It didn't get me that agitated. It just made me. It was just like.
I just wanted him to speak up so I could understand what the flippin' hell he was saying for most of the bloody movie.
I mean, it's a great performance from him, but it's like Johnny Depp decided to do what he did with Captain Jack for the Pirates of the Caribbean films. Sean Penn saw that and decided, I'm going to do the exact opposite.
It's like he's been sedated for the whole film.
Yeah,
I think. Right, I'll get on with Cyrus, Mind of a Serial Killer. It's a very small, unknown film, even though it's got Lance Henriksen in it and Brian Krause, who you'll have seen in a few other previous films and TV programs. He normally pops up in small movies. This is a really, really tiny film. It just centers around a serial killer called Cyrus and this news crew who want to investigate what actually happened with Cyrus and who Cyrus is. He supposedly butchered more than 200 women and men in this area, and they want to know why he did it. And they speak to Lance Henriksen through the film. Lance Henriksen narrates it. He's sort of like done a narration through the entirety of the movie, telling them a story about who Cyrus is, and that actually should prove the biggest downfall of the movie, the biggest point of what the hell are they doing? They're sitting there listening to Lance Henriksen's character tell him the story about Cyrus. Now he's going into grave detail about what Cyrus has done with these people, how he's gotten together this grill and being able to get this meat to create the best burgers in the town or whatever, and he's going into grave detail about how he kills people, etc., etc. And not once do these journalists think to themselves, how does he know all of this information? How does he exactly know the whereabouts where he was and how Cyrus killed this person, etc.? They'd never ask that. Cyrus, he kills his wife, he kills his baby. He was obviously his mother was abusive to him, killed his dog in front of him, and he kills a lot of people, grinds them obviously up into hamburgers and feeds them to the local people. But not once is it ever flagged during the movie these journalists wondering why I heard this bloke knows all of this. The film itself is not very good at all. It's shot on a really, really small budget. You can tell by the camera work and the acting, and it's just he's not believable as a evil person. There isn't any menace into him as well. Lance Henriksen is just there because they needed to get somebody big. It's not one of these people where he might be in for 5 minutes and that's it, because Lance Henriksen is in it a lot of the film. It's just a unforgettable, boring film.
Okay, well, we're running a bit tight on time, so I'm going to quickly go through Black Gold, which is a film by Jean-Jacques Arnaud. It's a European film which has, in leading the cast, you have Antonio Banderas and Mark Strong as the two sort of leaders of two tribes in... I forget where it is, actually. I think it's the Syrian desert. It's set during the 1930s when the Arab states were just about to sort of hit oil and discover oil in the deserts. And it follows the story of these two tribes, in particular the sons of Mark Strong's character, who are handed over to Antonio Banderas' character to raise them essentially as his prisoners in order to prevent Mark Strong's character from attacking him. It's a fairly decent film. It is quite an epic thing. It's the first sort of film by a few places. I mean, Qatar is the first. It's the first major film, as well as I think France and Italy were involved in production as well. It is quite an epic thing. It runs for 2 hours and 10 minutes long. It's got some beautifully shot scenes. It's got a great score by James Horner, but it's just too long. It could have done with being a lot shorter, and it would have been an even better film for it. You've also got some good performances in there from, you've got Frida Pinto, who a lot of people will recognise from Slumdog Millionaire. She's in the film as the princess, one of the daughters of Antonio Banderas' character. And there is a nice attempt to make a really good film here. It's just not entirely successful. If you do like a nice epic sort of kind of like Arabian adventure and a sort of about sort of tribes and the rise to power, because it involves the rise of a character as well, then you will enjoy this. It is a decent film, but I think for a lot of people it's just not going to hit the mark. Just before you go into the alternate DVD, I'll untie my tongue in a minute. Just to mention as well, released this week, but we didn't get a chance to view them, is Bob Marley, Freedom Road, the documentary about the singer, and Anderson Silva, Light Water, which is a documentary about the MMA fighter.
Yeah, there was also another film I called Even the Rain as well, which we couldn't get to see. There was too many films, even though we struggled to get to put
a lot of
together.
European smaller budget titles.
It's a small week this week.
Yeah.
My DVD alternative this week is not a small film. It's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Now, if you don't know what Who Framed Roger Rabbit is, then please stop listening. Actually, don't. Just listen to the show, but make sure you go out or go online and order a copy of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The whole reason why I decided to do Who Framed Roger Rabbit is got Bob Hoskins in it, and in my eyes, this is one of Bob Hoskins' best films. It's just a brilliant film, and unfortunately, Bob Hoskins has retired from acting at the age of, I think, 71 due to illness that he's got. It's 61 or 71. I know it's one of, and it ends off in a 1. And he's retired due to an illness, and it's a shame because Bob Hoskins is a good actor, but in my eyes, this is just his best film. It's got Christopher Lloyd in it as well, who's absolutely in 71, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd is absolutely insanely brilliant in this movie as well. Absolutely wacky, over the top. It's sort of like in the guise of like Fester from the Addams Family, because that's who he was in the Addams Family. He's just, I like Christopher Lloyd as well, and it obviously features Roger Rabbit, and it also features Jessica Rabbit, which is one of the best hand-drawn animated characters ever.
I think honestly, it's one of those landmark films as well, because it was one of the first to do the mixture of live action and animation combined together, wasn't it?
The first one was Song of the South, which had live action.
One of the first.
This film itself is banned in China because China do not allow live action and animated films to be merged into one. They don't allow that.
I wonder.
It takes away money from actors, but it's not down to Jessica Rabbit though. But honestly, when I was a kid, you can probably guess. It's just about a detective who has to protect Roger Rabbit, because Roger Rabbit gets framed for a murder that he didn't commit. And honestly, this movie is just a joy to watch. Even now, when I watch it, I feel like a kid. It just makes you so happy. There are so many good jokes and there are so many brilliant set pieces. It's full of slapstick. It has one of the best endings ever in a film. The ending in this film is just absolutely amazingly brilliant. The whole film itself, from start to finish, directed by Robert Zemeckis before he decided to go on and did things like Polar Express. Honestly, it's a brilliant, brilliant movie. And if you don't have Who Framed Roger Rabbit in your DVD collection, I do. Unlike Batman Begins, please go out and buy it now because you will not regret it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Okay, that's it for this week's show. Thanks for joining us if you've been listening live. If you are listening to us on the catch-up, bear in mind if you're listening on things like iTunes, you can leave a rating for us, which we please encourage you to do so. You can also find us on, there's our main site, which is mondaymovieshow.co.uk. We're also on Facebook, we're on iTunes, we're on Spreaker, we are now also on YouTube. So we'll be uploading to YouTube every show every week. Feel free to follow us on Spreaker as well. There's at Monday Movie Show, or you can follow myself at AHDVD, or Stuart is at Cryptic Tadpole.
That's on Twitter, by the way, and not on Spreaker.
Sorry, Spreaker. Yeah, I'm looking at Spreaker right now, so it's just like it's a good job I wasn't looking at something else because I might have read something else then. Until next week, though, at 7:30, I've been Andrew.
And I'm hopefully won't have a cold next week and a better mic.
I'm just going to wait until see if the mic you get is any better or worse.
It's going to be much better. Trust me, it will be much better, but I will hopefully not have a cold, and any bits I will.
We'll find out next Monday at 7:30 when we'll be reviewing, among other things, The Expendables 2.
Yep.
Until then...
And Battleship.
Well, yeah, you'll be reviewing Battleship, so...
Yep.
That'll be interesting. Until next Monday, good night.
Bye.